In a world of blockbuster movies, there's another dimension.
The dimension of schlock cinema. Join us at Beautiful Disasters on a journey into the fringe territory of B-movie abandon.
We review the flicks that are forgotten or underappreciated to give them a proper place in the annals of celluloid history.
I'm the Groots.
F.U. Hunter.
Your guides at Beautiful Disasters. Come along with us for a fun ride. May the schlock be with you.
The views and opinions expressed on Geekfather are those of the panelists and not those of the Geeks Under the Influence Network, their affiliates, or sponsors. Listener discretion is advised. This is for the parents and not for the kiddies.
Geekfire!
Can you try one more time? Say no. Geekfather real loud.
Geekfire way loud! I just did it.
Hey guys, welcome back. That's right. It's another couple weeks here and stuff going on. And if you're listening, trying to bear with it for the kids, that's right. It's a new episode of the Geekfathers. I'm Scotty P here. And of course, by my side, fellow bald, glasses wearing mofo, Mr. Kyle Smash.
What's up, buddy?
What's up, man? Getting right into the introductions here as we bring all the trials and tribulations of being geeky parents while trying to hold it down in the wild and crazy world that we live in.
Mm-hmm. Holding it down and holding it together.
Maybe. Some days.
Some days.
I mean...
Well, you just had a stressful,
the past couple weeks. Yeah, it's been a little crazy between some travel time. The wife and I got away for Mother's Day weekend for a little bit, but we've had a little bit of allergies is really the best way to describe it with the kids this week. Yes. And so it's...
Not COVID.
Not allergies. COVID. No. Thankfully not COVID. Nothing major. Just the usual of trying to... You try to make the kids as comfortable as possible, and it just doesn't always work that way.
Right.
It just doesn't always work. But we're making it through. We're definitely making it through. Allergies have just been bad this time of year, man. I've been feeling it myself.
Yeah. Where'd you go?
Oh, for the trip on Mother's Day weekend. Nice little segue there, you know. But I'm in the illness part of it, man. That's the part that has my brain going. No, we were fortunate enough to actually go up to the great Garden State of New Jersey. Mm-hmm. See some friends, but also we were there specifically. We had talked about it on some of the previous episodes where they had the 25th anniversary of Jay and Silent Bob's Secret Stash.
Oh, that's right.
So again, we have one more episode of the Geekfathers where we're totally name dropping Kevin Smith, and so I will be sure to tag Kev, of course, in any post that we do related to the episode as we do. Because
you got to meet him yet again. I mean, you got to actually maybe talk to him a little bit.
This was the greatest experience when it comes to... We've done conventions, we've done stuff, but this was, of course, an event that he did with the comic book store. It had not only the original Clerks people there, like all the main actors and stuff, but his friends from back in the day, like Ernie, who was his friend since high school, that actually helped encourage him about doing some of the movie stuff even before Scott Mosier, to his buddy Vinny, who he actually met when he first started working at the Quick Stop. And Vinny, who has made some movies and done some other... So it was this great, it was almost like a convention, but way more personal.
Was there a lot of people there?
Quite a bit, actually. It was a 2-day event, so we didn't see everybody who was there. We did the Saturday evening event, and then they had another one Sunday. So they were able to break it up. But basically, we went to the stash. We got to go visit with everybody. They did official photo ops with the whole crew, and, obviously just the wife and I with, these 10 great actors and creators and all this stuff. And actually got to talk to him for the most part. Got some extra autographs, but the nerd part for me, besides we're at that level where I wish we could have brought the kids, because I think the kids would have had fun at least with the first part of it in the comic book store. Mm-hmm. But for me as a nerd is where I can walk into this event and even with a crowd of people, Kevin called me by name he recognizes me. Whether he always remembers my name, I can't promise that, which I totally get.
Oh, well, I mean, motherfucker sees thousands of people, I'm sure. So,
but our friend Becky mentioned to him that, we had the car trouble. So while we were a little bit late getting to the event, we were still able to get in and do everything.
Yeah.
And he walks up and he goes, "You guys made it," and he gives us a big ass hug.
That's pretty cool.
I mean, that you can't argue with a man who, people try to downplay or down talk a lot of the stuff that he does. This man does it for the people. And that's exactly what this type of event was. It was, the tickets are a little bit pricey, but for what we got out of it and for the exposure, being able to talk with everybody and everything, totally worth it.
Yeah.
Totally worth it.
Well, that's why you go to those things.
Exactly.
And I mean, your hope is always to like go to something at least enough so that if you see you're somebody you're a fan of enough times that they're like, okay, I know you now. Like, you're stuck in my brain. Like, that's a huge level up. So you never know. I mean, next time you go see him, be like, hey, let's go have. I'm sure he doesn't drink, but
no, that man loves his shall we say flour.
Yes, for
keeping this a little bit clean. But
you go have a cup of coffee and he can have a tea or whatever.
Basically, yeah.
Whatever.
It's definitely where. Obviously, I can't just call him up and be like, "Hey, Kev, what you doing?" Blah blah blah. But if to see each other at these events, it's at least like
really no cookout calls. Like, hey, I'm grilling out.
I would
fly over to this coast.
I would totally invite Kevin Smith over for a cookout or an event or anything that we do.
He lives in California, right? So
yeah,
he lives in Hollywood.
He's LA based these days, so he still lives in Ben Affleck's old house.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he bought his house from Ben Affleck, like, years ago.
Oh, that's cool. Is that the one where he lives right down the street from Jason Mewes? They still live that way?
Yeah, well, Jason Mewes and Jay and his wife bought a house some years later, but yeah, it's Kevin and Jen Schwalbach, his wife, are still in the same house.
Oh, wow.
So, and we, technically under my wife's information, we are part of the Kevin Smith Club as well.
Mm-hmm.
Which is where you're able to get a little bit more interaction, get some bonus stuff.
Sure. I saw he was just at Disney too.
Yeah,
Disney Florida. I was like, all right. Yeah, well, I knew he was definitely on this.
Right, and anything I talk about with Kevin, like you know how we are. I'm not trying to dig out people's personal stuff, but I believe Kevin's mother is down there now. So after they did the whole Jersey thing, Mother's Day weekend and stuff, I think they traveled down there and. We're doing a few extra things, visiting with her, I'm sure, and doing all that. Yeah. So,
well, I mean, I hope they're all doing well. I mean, it's a good stock of people, it seems. I don't know any of them personally, obviously, but
I mean, if I was good about remembering what names to say, the people were there like a great example. A lot of people don't think about with Clerks, and he was a super super sweet dude, and. Talking about because there was Q&A stuff afterwards at a movie theater, and the way they did this Q&A stuff, that's why I say it was a lot more personal. You go to a Q&A at a convention, and you have literally sometimes hundreds of people trying to bombard the mic and do all this stuff. No, there was less than at least 50 of us in this theater, and they rotated around in groups and came and did the Q&A. So we got to sit there the whole time. They would come in and like 3 or 4 in a group and be like, all right, who wants to ask us questions? We've known Kev since he was a teenager. We can spill the beans for you or just tell you what we're up to. Mm-hmm. And there was some great stuff out there.
I think they say tea. It's tea these days. This is where you know you're old. It's no longer, nobody's spilling the beans anymore, you old son of a bitch.
Well,
okay? Yeah, it's like I got tea.
Buy me my walker. I'll get my hip replacement for Christmas.
I'll go on Amazon right now.
You son of a bitch.
Yeah, I'll go through Geeks on the Influence website. I'll click the Amazon link.
You do that, and then maybe T Public will have a special designed walker.
There you go.
So
look at that.
See,
go to the website tpublic.com. Check for specials. Look, we've already got it done.
Well, I mean, if we're going to do the full spiel at this point, go to gypodcast.com.
That's right.
Click on the link for Amazon and click on the link for TeePublic, and you go all right there.
Yeah.
So,
and you're going to see all of us.
All of us.
All of the shows.
All of us, and
all the things.
That's actually a good reminder. As much as I love talking Kevin Smith, we do need to get more into the episode, but that is also a reminder of, we've posted along, I know at least on Facebook and some of the other social media, is find it. I know I've shared it with the Geekfathers page, and some of the other shows have shared it, but find one of our pages with the information or the details. We're looking for designs by you guys to put up through our TeePublic site and as part of our designs. If you know the
whatever designs that you've got, if it's mashups, bring them, throw them our way.
Yeah, with no guarantees that we'll use them.
No, of course not.
But we want to see what you guys bring to the table. If you're just a fan, of a certain episode or a certain inside joke, maybe that. And we'll say Hobbit has definitely designed probably like 80% of what's on the TeePublic thing.
Yeah.
Even if not more. But we want to see what you guys bring to it as fans.
He's a storm cloud of creativity.
He is
pouring that shit down.
He does it, man.
I'll give it to him.
I wish I wish I could have had the constitution to learn to design, the graphic design a little bit more like he had. Like, he's self-taught, and he does a great job with it. But I try to do it. I get frustrated.
That's computer, I mean, aside from when we were younger, at least right now, we'd be like, oh man, I'd love to do it. It's so hard with the kids. Sometimes they come in handy.
Well, that excuse is, well,
they always come in handy, but sometimes the excuse comes in handy.
It could be very valid, but in this particular, like for myself, because this was also when I first was trying to look at doing stuff. It was when I was doing the show by myself solo.
Yeah.
Even before I got Hunter on to help out, before I brought you on as co-host, but trying to sit there and learn even a free. It's GIMP or whatever, but it's basically the free version of Photoshop or whatever. But trying to sit there and do that, and either you have, well, at the time I had a kid. I don't even think I had the second one at that point. But you have him, and then by the time at night when everybody else is asleep and you're trying to be like, cool, I maybe have an hour before I'm worried about going to bed, and the last thing you want to worry about is like, this program is not quite, it's not doing what I'm telling it to do, And you kind of go through that whole like, I will totally blame my kids for not learning.
The freeze up, Control Alt Delete. Yeah. Why won't you work?
See, if you want to talk about being old phrases, Control Alt Delete is really not even used anymore for that either.
I know, but I still use it.
I also use the shit out of it.
Yeah, get the task manager somehow. Got to shut those processes down, son.
Give me the control panel. Control. Okay. Anyway,
especially old folks too. It's like, that's what I love about Google. I can go on there and learn how to do these things like the kids do. I have to watch like things like Linus Tech Tips just to like. And I still have no idea what I'm looking at half the time.
One of the few things to come out about YouTube has been just on how to do stuff.
Yeah, well, it changed the landscape, especially for parents. Or just anybody as an adult, but especially when your parents, and even if you're doing okay money wise, something happens like your car breaks down, and it's something that can be fixed without legit expertise. You can do it by watching the video, which you didn't always. You have that option, like you
could be told what to do, but like so many of us, sure, you can tell me. But I need a visual, man.
Right, exactly.
I'm one of those where I need both. Talk to me, but I gotta see something too. It's one of those.
Voila, we get a video.
And I may have brought up this guy like a long time ago, but I wonder if he still has his YouTube page, which I'm sure he does because it's very popular, or at least it was. Mm-hmm. And it was a good dude. This guy would make how-to videos solely on the purpose of, hey, your father may not be around like my father was not around. I had to learn this stuff on my own, so I'm going to make a bunch of videos to show you how to upkeep your home.
Yeah.
How to do this.
I think I know who you're talking about. I don't remember his name. Maybe we can find it out. We'll put a link.
If we find out, we'll put a link. If not,
a friendly link. Like, this is some cool shit. Check it out.
Oh, dude. We should definitely.
Especially for fathers.
Absolutely.
I didn't have anyone show me shit. Right. I mean, I grew up. I didn't learn. I mean. If I was outside sources and there's people around who happened to be doing it, whether they were building something or taking apart something, or whatever the case is,
right.
I would pay attention as much as I could and try to learn it without doing it. But for the most part, I learned a lot of the stuff later in life, and I learned it through YouTube. I mean, trial and error, but I learned it through YouTube.
Of course.
Had we had to have that probably, and just YouTube, mind you, and with restrictions in place, back then, 20 years ago? How old is YouTube now? 2000 and
yes,
early 2000 and
at least 20 years old now. But I mean, but YouTube was so simple that like you.
I remember way back then.
Way back then. There was wacky stuff on YouTube back then too. Well, I mean, there still is.
I mean, if you wanted to learn how to work on your house, you had very few options, and one of them was like this old house. Like you didn't have.
Freaking Bob Vila, dude.
You really did. You really did. And look, Bob Vila taught me a lot. I thought he did. A lot,
but he ended up getting sued for like so many of his projects later in life too.
Were they shoddy?
Oh yeah. Oh,
you just.
Sorry, man.
You hurt a little piece of my soul.
I mean,
the kid inside me.
Dude, I compare myself to Bob Vila in that aspect, where I know so many of the logistics on how to do that stuff. Like in my mind, like I could tell you exactly how to do it, but when it comes to my hands doing it the proper way and actually physically, I can do it. It just may not be the best job possible.
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't know if you're ever going to do as good as an expert.
Oh, surely not.
But certain things like especially these days, and for any parent out there, as whether you're a geek or not, which everybody is in their own right. Yeah, you don't have the money for the things that you would love to do, movies to go see, because you've got a surprise breakdown.
Exactly.
Maybe you got to change the alternator, and you're 6 hours from home.
Gee, are you bringing up a certain Jersey trip that I mentioned just at the beginning of the episode?
But no, of course not. But if it's not that, and you're closer to home, regardless of the fact where it happened or how it happened.
Yeah.
If it's something that you can fix without spending $600, and you can spend $100 or $150 and a few hours of your time and a YouTube video, you can pretty much get it done. If you've got some general basic skill, or small little aptitude, you can pretty much do it. You can do anything, and that was really empowering to like me, because yes, I'm a nerd. I love to learn things, but I never thought I would need to change something out on my car like this. Take off the belt and be like, I don't have the intelligence for that. I don't have the patience for that.
Yeah.
But because of that, now I do. Like, now I've got all this knowledge, which I may not be able to explain it to you, the logistics, but I could open the hood and do it. And then you could watch.
Right. And the only reason why I was even hesitant about me doing it, like, we have two vehicles. That is the vehicle that, of course, we had was the newer year type car. I have a harder time with that one. Now, the other car we have, which is older, I've done a lot of stuff on that car. Just by looking up on a video. I've used YouTube, I've used Google, I've done a couple things. Mm-hmm. It just, the access is so much easier. Especially when you're 6 hours away from home, your parents are watching the kids, and it's hitting Sunday, and at this point the earliest you're getting home, we ended up getting home at 10 o'clock Sunday night, which we don't like to do. The kids have school the next day and everything else. Like, it sounds cliche, but I don't want to keep my parents up that late. If they're going to be up that late, let them be at home doing whatever they're doing. Not at my house making sure my kids are in bed ready for school the next day,
Yeah. They sacrificed enough raising your ass.
Exactly. But I didn't
give them a goddamn break.
I didn't have an extra 2 hours or so to sit there and go, well, let me pull some things out of my car to try to get this alternator in there and see what I can do on my own. No, it was cool. I know how much an alternator runs. I saw the price. I look, and if I've got to pay so much extra to make sure that it's done right, done properly, and I'm going to be able to drive home another 6 hours and that there's not going to be an issue, at that point in time, you damn skippy, I'm going to pay it.
Hey, fuck yeah. Look,
it may blow my budget for almost 2 weeks, but I'm going to do it.
But you can still, do the things you need to do and drive if you need to drive. That's very important. distance has a lot to do with it. You were 6 hours.
Oh yeah,
and
if
change
it
from
was in
home.
my own driveway, by all means,
Like
yes.
yeah, if it crapped out, like you can take the time to like jump up, run up the street, grab.
But again, that's also where we have the benefit of where the wife works these days too.
All right. Well, any normal person who doesn't happen to know somebody who runs a shop.
I was about to see. That's the whole thing.
YouTube that shit.
Yeah, exactly. No, I totally agree.
If you
YouTube
can.
the hell out of whatever you can.
Yeah. Just make sure you're looking at quality stuff that fits what you're doing.
Which usually there's on there. You can usually tell the people that are doing the stupid stuff. Where like follow your gut on that one, because there's been a couple times where it's been like, yo, let me look at this video on how to do it, and you come across a video and you're just like, something ain't right about this. Let me check another video just to make sure.
Yeah.
Maybe 2 more videos if I need to. You know, that type of thing. So
I use them for everything. I use it for adjusting the telescope. We watched the lunar eclipse.
Yeah.
The other night, and got to watch. I watched it through the telescope, and it was like right in your face, and it was just absolutely breathtaking.
That's awesome.
You know,
Yeah.
like this. By the way, if you got a chance to do it, my only regret was that I didn't get to watch it with my daughter. She wasn't with me at the time; she was with her mom. So I wish she had been with me. She would have gotten it. I'm
Right.
sure she could see it.
But
that was such a cool
And even
moment.
though we live in the same town technically and everything, we were just at a different enough area where we couldn't see it.
You were? Oh,
Yeah.
that is a shame. I mean, if you go right out the back porch, like it was like right there because it's an more open field.
Well, technically, you're further closer to out of town, county wise.
Well,
from
yeah.
us, you know.
I mean, you're the area in which you're in.
I mean, it was a little bit
It
more
was built
cloudy
a long time ago.
so long ago.
Long
Like we still get light reflection from fucking Richmond City.
Right.
You know, is how close, you
What's
know.
the old, like MTV actually played music videos.
What is it? Celebrate the 40th anniversary of MTV and for giving us 15 years of music. So, you know.
I mean, really.
For real. Like,
The death of MTV. Well, that happened in the 90s.
oh, the old man tangent we can go on about. Well, no. It reached the early 2000s.
I guess it did.
It was iffy sometimes. You definitely had more shows happening. Again, these old man tangents be going, man, off the rails. But it was early 2000s on where you were still getting a good chunk of music. Because even then, I think you still had a bastardized version of Headbangers Ball.
Yes.
I don't think it was 120 minutes anymore, but you still had the alternative music show with a couple things. And by then, they also had MTV2, which was doing more stuff.
They were trying to do that while TRL was playing on the other station.
Oh, bleh.
But yeah. I mean, there was only certain reasons you'd watch that. Maybe there was there'd have to be a really good musician, or your favorite, the musician you thought is the hottest, whomever that may be.
Basically, and no offense to him, but honestly, Carson Daly did his job, but I wasn't looking at TRL, whatever. TRL, Total Request Live.
Yeah.
In case you didn't know.
Now you know.
I was not looking for Carson Daly and stuff because, like, I feel like I should defend myself because I don't want to be talking smack against Carson Daly because I like him. I think actually for what he does the Today Show now on NBC.
Yeah,
and
I
things
guess
like
so.
that. Like he does his job great, but when it came to that show, I was just like, "Bro, you're killing me."
I didn't even know he was still alive.
Oh,
I thought he was dead for the longest time, and then one morning I was like, "What?"
I wouldn't classify him as a reporter, but he's definitely a correspondent of some type. And
all right, well, that's a diplomatic way of saying it, I guess.
I mean, because he doesn't.
He does some shit from afar.
Well, I mean, basically, he's on the Today Show. So, he'll talk about certain things that they do on the Today Show and stuff. And most of those people you don't see being like, "Hi, I'm Skip out on the street here trying to talk to the people." No, they do their research. They talk to people still, but it's all in studio.
Yeah.
They're not out there and it's not your typical news show where they're just behind a desk either. So that's why I say I don't call him a reporter, but it's also my horrible way of I don't have the proper words for most of the stuff I say.
Yes, well
if you listen to the show, you know that I don't say it properly anyway.
Carson Daly, he does what he does.
But my point is I like what he does. It was just that one show he did back in the day.
He does
that
it.
I'm just like,
I guess he does it well. I didn't watch it while out of TRL, so I really don't have any authority to speak on. My opinion is okay.
Yeah, you know what actually bugged me more about that show, if I'm going to finish this tangent properly, it was more so the crowds. Because it was always like, cool, no, talk to the artist.
And it always...
Exactly. It's always the people. But...
God damn it, people.
He would talk to the people, do the right, ask the questions, talk to them. But it was always like, so you guys ready for another video? And then holding up their signs, blah, blah, and I'm just like... How much did you pay just to sit there and scream at a TV camera and you're probably not even on TV?
Oh, yeah. Well, they had him outside. No. They had him outside, too.
Even worse.
I think I've seen... Because
what was it?
Visited New York and saw people standing outside.
I think the MTV... They still may be there. It's right there at like Times Square or whatever, isn't it? Yeah. So... Or was. Yeah. I don't know. I mean...
I don't know.
MTV is a thing. That's all. We should.
I mean, these last 2 years have been sort of like a black hole. Everything gets sucked in. Speaking of black hole, cool moment. Okay. This was a cool.
Yeah, sorry. I'll finish my MTV stupidness.
No, it's really cool because they were able to get a picture of the supermassive black hole in the center of our galaxy, the Milky Way, which is pretty goddamn amazing. Which, if you think about it, math predicted a lot of these things, and then we use that to make tools in order to prove it. And I just think that was pretty amazing. And I remember sitting on the couch with my daughter and was like pulling up on YouTube and like pulling up on TV, just isn't this fucking amazing? And she's like, yeah, that's pretty awesome. And then she went outside and played. I was like, she went outside and rode her bike, and she was like, I wanted her to feel that geekiness, like excitement. No. And to her, it's like, didn't we already get one? And I was like, yes, we've already gotten a picture of a black hole. But this is the black hole, the supermassive black hole in the center of our own galaxy, which, from my very limited, idiotic, layman understanding of it all, has an effect on especially the rotation of our very own galaxy. It's how powerful it is.
Right.
And that was amazing. Yeah. And she was like, I mean...
Cool, Dad.
Yeah.
Peace.
Yeah.
And out.
She did like a small TikTok dance, and I was like, stop that. And then she went outside and rode her bike.
Yeah, that's just like with the boys, because even though it's on YouTube, like the thing that they crave.
Yeah.
Like we have to put so much limitation on YouTube these days. It's crazy in our house. Like, I'll put on YouTube, but usually for me it's just like music videos, and then I find those old music, like again, like what MTV used to play, and then I'm just like, oh, I'm old. And I have my moment and I go back to work. And I listen to music in the background. No, for them, they want their video games. The guys that live stream, like, we don't really watch Twitch. But, the gaming guys that are on there, there's a couple of the shows or stuff that they're allowed to watch. But then I sit there and go, no, I have something on YouTube, something like the black hole or something. Or I'm like, no, check this out real quick. It's a cool video, and then we can get back.
They can lose their attention faster.
Oh, huh? Yeah. Dude, I'll put it back on your video in just a moment. Just watch something that's really cool.
Yeah. Fine. Can we just get it over with?
Oh, no. My 8-year-old has even gotten my 5-year-old going, oh, my God. That's the main phrase I hear in my house when they're like, hey, man, go pick up your socks. Oh, my God. I have to pick up my socks.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Dude.
Oh, it's just...
Dude.
It's just starting. And you've got boys, so I don't,
Yeah, well...
I mean, girls are great. Like, I love having a daughter. I know, I genuinely... I was scared. I was scared before she was born. I was like, how the fuck am I going to raise a daughter in this world? But...
Well, I mean, that's any parent, technically. I mean, especially in the past decade.
But for a boy, like, I probably, for 10 years, like, already, the first 20 years of his life, already had the speeches and the advice, like, planned out. Like, all right, I could do that. But,
I know how to talk to this one.
Right. I know how to give this, but then you finally have a daughter, it's like, well, that's out the window.
Yeah.
Like, all right.
I mean, honestly, even with my boys, it's so much stuff has gotten, like...
Yeah.
I probably pushed so hard the first couple years that Logan was around to be like Star Wars, Doctor Who, but and all that, and he loved it as a kid. But it was bright lights. It was cool
Sure.
stuff.
Well-
But I'm like, no, you don't know the story of Obi-Wan Kenobi? Like, dude, listen to what he's saying. Like, this is life advice he's talking to Luke about. And my 2-year-old is sitting there going, yeah?
Yeah.
And, oh, shiny, and walks away. You know, and
Yeah.
like, no! And after that, I was like...
Well, I think then you probably, I think you start them young like that, especially with Star Wars.
Oh,
and you just over time, it just becomes a part of the normal...
The roots are there.
Right.
Because we definitely, you know, we watched The Mandalorian, we watched the Book of Boba Fett, we've seen Doctor Who, we've seen a few other things, and I can tell I'm coming full circle on a few things, like one of our shows that we watched that's reminiscent for me, and the wife was like, hey, I haven't seen this whole series, but I want to watch it, and it's a slightly older one, is Malcolm in the Middle.
There's going to be a lot about that show they're not going to get.
But
A lot.
But my oldest, who sits there and goes, we got to watch this again. Like, say it's a show like while we eat dinner because we could watch it, still do stuff, and we're not missing anything. But we'll sit there, we'll start eating, and he's like, oh, well, I want to watch something. He loves his cooking shows, which is fine.
His cooking shows.
But I can only take
That's
so much
great.
Gordon Ramsay and a few other things of just like, I need to zone out, man. I just got done with work. Let's eat some dinner and chill.
Yeah.
You know? But what he'll do is like, oh, Malcolm in the Middle, I don't want to watch that. Dude, this is what we're watching. Just eat your dinner. Just look, like 5 minutes later, I'm eating, look over, total deadpan stare into the TV, not even eating his dinner. I'm like, hey, man, are you going to eat your vegetables for dessert? So you get dessert tonight or something? And he's just like, huh? Yeah. Takes a bite and moving so slow because he's just like so wrapped up in the show.
He's got tunnel vision.
He does.
Totally focused on it. I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
Once they get into something they love, regardless of age, you could see as they progress and they get older what changes about that. But there's always one that just will automatically suck them in. All they got to do is hear it and go, it's like a dog's a squirrel. And then they're focused on it 100%. For my
Very
daughter,
much.
it's Stranger Things.
Yes.
That's where she's at right now.
Yeah.
So that's definitely that and Ghostbusters are 2 things to kind of sit down and watch together right now.
Yeah.
She's a little older, so now she's getting into things like Gilmore Girls, which is not...
Well, she's got like 3 years on Logan or something, I think.
Yes. She will actually be 11 next month, so...
And Logan just turned 8.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's... Yep.
So she's... but, girls, they really, in the most basic sense, like, grow, I guess, or even somewhat emotionally, evolve a little bit faster. And it's
Sure, yeah.
It's a different, I'm trying to just, my small, dumbass male brain is just trying to like keep up. Like, okay, how do I have this? Now everything is like, we're gonna try to just talk about our feelings. Like, I'm afraid I don't want to get into, like, back then you could be like, no, or don't do this, or like that.
Right.
And you get into, for a long time, you stay in that mentally where you're just like, like, don't do this. You expect them to do things they shouldn't do, or or knock something over. But now, as she's gotten older, now she's sort of growing out of that. She's still going to try to get one over, but at least they're going to be a little more well thought out, hopefully.
Oh yeah, Logan is out. Even at 8, it's more like, hey man, we need.
If you're going to do it, at least do it well.
We have to sit down. We have to have this discussion. Like we gotta break serious for a moment. But then I'm. It's almost like I've got to backtrack because I've got Leland, who's only 5. And for also he has, which you and I know about, being the younger sibling.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Syndrome, where it's just like, dude, getting kind of loud, going, don't do this, fill in the blank, and you need to stop doing this, go fix this. And it's almost like he doesn't know what to do because, like, for the longest time, he didn't get in trouble. Because either he was just the little brother hanging out with Big Brother doing whatever he did, so technically he wasn't wrong. He was just following along.
Yeah.
Or, and it's so, like, we're on that backtrack with him of just, like, bro, you got to start taking responsibility for you. Like, you're on your own. You're going into kindergarten next year, man.
Yeah. Welcome to the jungle.
Yeah. It's we're going full blast into this mess, you know. So
we got fun and games.
And let me brag about this. On my youngest, they had at his preschool. Let's see, we're recording tonight, so we just did it yesterday. What they called a love dinner at his preschool. And what they've been working on the past couple weeks is getting the preschool kid, because it's also a daycare for a couple of kids, but they've been getting them ready for kindergarten. They're actually, we love this. Let me give a shout out to Robots and Mud Pies.
All right.
Dude, they use STEM.
Oh, that's cool.
For their learning. And the way they're organized, the way they're put together. Dude,
their nutritional program's probably not that good, but...
I see what you did. Well, they just
dad joke.
Dad joke there. The
awful dad joke.
The mud pies are supreme, but for the past couple weeks they've been getting doing all the kindergarten prep type stuff, like making sure cognitively and what they're doing, that they're getting ready for kindergarten. And as part of a way, basically it's this was their version of the graduation before we get into, since we're approaching that very soon for all the kids moving up grades and stuff next month, is they actually sat there, we got a full description after everything was said and done of the kids voted on what to make, who needs to make what, design this stuff. They basically made us dinner yesterday at the preschool. Leland was there a little bit late. Then we were there about 5 o'clock, which normally I pick him up about 4. But what they did was they organized this whole thing. They set out the tables, decorated the tables, got everything prepped and ready, and made the food. We had waffles and some fruit, but the kids did everything, including cleanup afterwards.
Very Montessori style.
Very much so, but yeah, and it was that great transition to be like, and I mean we've tried to do that with our kids anyways, to be like, you're done with dinner, go take your plate at least to the counter, do the little stuff like that. But that's where we've been very fortunate, where our kids have gone to because they've gone to 2 different preschools and stuff. And we've been very fortunate the way timing things have worked out, that they've gone to preschools and they've gotten the teachers and stuff to really where they are personally.
Well, that's look, if they can acclimate. So if they can acclimate well, it's because they probably have teachers that are listening, which is important. These days, I can get why it'd be hard for them not to.
Sure.
To an extent. At the same time, like the ones that are, the good ones that are out there, and like they listen to the kids.
Yeah.
Understand when there's an issue that does need to be addressed, and that maybe going after or attacking or just simply sending to the office sort of situation doesn't always work.
Right.
And that's for all grades. That's for everything. My daughter, look, my kid's about to go to middle school.
Ooh.
You want to talk about welcome to the jungle,
right?
And that's especially for me growing up, that was the toughest. Those 3 years from 6 to 8 were 6 through 8 were the worst.
It wasn't the worst for me. It was the hardest to acclimate in the beginning for me, because fortunately right away I found essentially who was my best friend, at least through junior high. I still talk to the person, but when we hit high school, he got held back and we went separate ways, but have always kept in contact. But up until when I went into middle school, or at least through most of elementary school, I had my brother. And then when we moved to Virginia from Indiana, of course we're sticking a little bit closer together, because we're in a new environment, blah, blah, blah. But that was, going into 6th grade was the first time I had to go into a school without my brother being there. That was the kicker for me, where it was just like, oh shit, I actually don't know anybody. At least in elementary school growing up, if you think,
it's like a gulp sort of feeling. You're just like, oh my god.
It really, culture shock all the way, man.
I felt the exact same thing. My brother was 2 years ahead, so he would, even if we were moved someplace different,
right?
He was, by the time I got there, was already 2 years acclimated to it.
Yeah.
So for me, it was like, oh, I do know you. It was like, just, will you get the fuck away from me?
Right. Well,
don't blow my spot. No, he wasn't. He was like,
actually, that's where I got fortunate for high school, though. the biggest benefit, one of the biggest benefits, I should say. I mean, I had friends and people I knew, and I got friends pretty quickly. When I was a freshman, my brother was a senior, but I knew most of his friends anyways, and I was the little brother, but they were still like, they didn't treat me like the little tag-along little brother. They still were like, no, hey, cool, how you doing? You know, they would talk to me, so it was just like, cool, I know people. All right. Yay.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you had your own central friends, which is like, okay, so I'm covered on all bases here. That's good. You know, so I had the advantage going into high school, and it was by my sophomore year, I was established enough with my own crew and people and stuff that I could do what I needed to do.
Yeah,
so.
I probably wasn't until, you know, I had a best friend, and I still to this day, you know, for 30 plus years or more, has been around, but in different schools. So, but for me, with school was like, it was extroverted if I got the chance to talk or whatever. Yeah. But at the same time, I was almost like half and half, but I was like introverted because I was just like, you know, I was always bigger, the bigger kid. I would not, you know, taller, that sort of thing. Just like, like I grew too fast, too young, that sort of thing. And so it wasn't really till high school that I found a good rhythm with you know, a handful of people.
Right. Yeah. I mean, and the sad part is that I know that there's still some good people that are out there, but again, even one of my closest buddies in high school, I don't even talk to anymore. He went off the rails mentally, you know, and the way he was living life. Like, I mean, he wasn't. I mean, there's questions about if he was mentally ill. I say that kind of seriously, but
what grade was this? That
like sophomore, junior, even senior year for a lot of stuff. I was friends with this one main dude. I had friends, but I also had friends outside of, you know, that.
Just wondering if it started in like middle school, because I feel like
it didn't go back that far.
Like 8th grade, you know, it seems to be like 7th to 8th grade is where I feel that was like that real change up until you obviously get to high school. Right. That's different, but there's especially over that summer, you know, there's a change. You know, and you can be a little like worse than when you were before, or better.
Yeah, well, see,
if you're getting help or talking, or you have friends, whatever the case is.
It was somewhere between freshman and sophomore year that I met him, and we had a great time. We were great friends, and he was the friend that we had to rein in, because not that he was. Yeah, he just kind of did stupid shit. Yeah. I mean, it was like, you know, go to a party or hanging out with other mutual friends and stuff, and he would just start saying or wanting to do this one thing, and everybody's like, what? And you're like, dude, come here.
It's the wrecking ball of the crew, sort
kind of, you know, it was
Make sure to break it all up, make it...
Not even that, it was more so of just like a dude, just go with the flow, man.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about getting all like over here about something when we're all just chilling out right here.
Overzealous or angry sort of situation?
Overzealous. Not anger. That man had very little anger back, especially for being a teenage kid. Mm-hmm. Very little anger when it came down to it. But also, he kind of came from... The home life wasn't the best. He was also one of those where... He was one of the 90s Ritalin kids. Where, like, Ritalin and stuff like that was pushed on him really, really hard and stuff. And he knew where...
Whole generation was Ritalin.
Well, yeah. But he was one of those where he was like, no, I know it doesn't feel right. It doesn't this and that. So...
you say Ritalin... It's just like,
well, that's the most common
that was, especially like in the early 90s.
Yeah, man.
Speaking of the early 90s, my kid says to me, and she's starting to wear like Nirvana shirts, which I'm starting to see Nirvana a lot now. Like on it's one of those shirts where it's like, do you probably know the band? Or are you wearing it because you think the T-shirt looks cool? Now I'm curious. Like I want to know.
There's weird comment because I'm definitely one of those where I'm not the asshole about it, but I'm definitely like there are some times where I'm just like, name 3 songs.
Yeah,
you know.
I perk up like name something. Not Smells Like Teen Spirit.
Right.
Like, can't name that. Even if you didn't know it before and you know it now you can't say it. Give me something else. Yeah. Because if you're wearing that shirt, you probably know at least one other song.
Right.
I would hope if you're wearing it. So she wears it. She does because I play. I have right. A, alternative or Nirvana station on my.
And I think that's what's happening a lot of the time though is where at least some of the kids where you're seeing some of these band shirts, especially bands that are no longer around.
Yeah.
It's making that full cycle. It's just like when, dude, I at one point, even though I was quote unquote a punk rock,
it's classic rock now.
oh yeah, because it's 20 years older or older.
It's classic.
Yeah.
That means like Pearl Jam is classic rock.
Right.
That is so weird to me.
It is.
It's a foreign concept.
What was it? A friend of mine posted about her daughter, who my goddaughter actually, apparently, but my friend posted something about my goddaughter calling Eddie Vedder like P. Paul Vedder or something because he's so old now. P. Paul Vedder.
Yeah. P. Paul Vedder.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah, I mean...
No teeth, just...
Yeah, I was about to say, he doesn't need the teeth to just do the singing that he did back in the 90s, you know, but...
That is so... But it's so crazy how that... You know, I remember even when living here when living in Richmond was... What was it? I want to say it was 102.1 at that time.
XL
which
102.
is now more 96.5, but 102.1 at that time had...
Played a lot of the current alternative rock with some of the regular rock.
That was actually like 104.3 and...
Well, 104.3 came later. What the big thing that hit during the 90s...
2008 or something. No, not 2008.
The big thing that hit during the 90s for quote-unquote alternative... I say quote-unquote because I'm doing my air quotes.
Right.
The alternative music, which was also some punk rock music and some other... I can never remember the name of this documentary about alternative music where they had some great bands in it, like Helmet and a few other ones.
I think I know you're talking about. It's on Netflix?
It's on Tubi. I saw it on Tubi. It might be on Netflix.
I think there's one like it on Netflix.
I don't know. But it was all those like alternative bands like, you know, Sonic Youth and stuff like that never really fit into, even on shows on MTV, never really fit into the mainstream. They were definitely their own breed. I totally lost my train of thought. Holy shit.
Well, I mean, the point being, the point,
yes,
the thing with that music is that it being classic rock is just when I was my daughter's age. No, when I was my daughter's age, I was listening to what we at that time were told was classic rock, right? And that was more, you know, Zeppelin. I was probably more Zeppelin, Stones, whatever was. They played a lot of.
That's what I was about to say.
Tom Petty.
Even though I was more into the punk rock, like skater kid type stuff, like I had my moment where it was just like, no, give me the Zeppelin. Like,
yeah,
I want to collect Zeppelin 1, 2, 3, and 4. Give me this, you know. Well, you did Stairway to Heaven for a moment, and then you're like, oh my god, everybody wants Stairway. I don't want to hear that anymore. But then you get into the other stuff,
no,
like
Stairway denied.
Dude, Wayne's World, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
But one of my original points on this was about wearing the shirts is because, you know, people have kids at a younger age that's happened. Like I have friends that have adult children now, and I'm in my early 40s still.
Kind of be awesome,
right? If you think about where generations lie, where if you think about an average age of having kids, say mid-20s to mid-30s within that range, that's where some of these kids are getting the shirts, or why they wear the shirts is because that's what they grew up listening to, because that's what their parents were playing for them as kids.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I play it for my daughter. I'm sure you play. There's certain songs. Now, I mean, she caught me listening to like Rage Against the Machine and thinks she knows anything about it. And I'm like, don't. Look, you won't understand.
Pump the brakes on that one.
Yes,
pump the brakes.
I was like, you need first off, you're playing with the big boys there. You need to slow down. You can maybe listen to some for Nirvana. I mean, I wouldn't want you. Like Heart-Shaped Box is fine, but I wouldn't want you going around singing Ray. I don't want to scream it out.
No, that one,
you know, like there's certain boundaries.
They changed it to, what was it, Waif Me, I think was the parental clean version of that one.
Oh, it probably for the video?
Well, on the album as well.
I haven't.
There was a version of the album where they changed the title and the stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's as controversial as it would be now. Then it was, and even now, it's a solid song. But you know, I was. You know, in my late teens when I heard it. Like, I was at a point where... Or maybe I wasn't in my late teens when I heard that. I heard it actually very young. What am I thinking about?
No, you had to hear that young because...
No, that was young.
I was only around 15 when Kurt Cobain died.
Yeah.
And you're a few years younger.
I was probably
than me.
like 11. Maybe 10 or 11. And that's the thing is my daughter now I can go... I shouldn't have been able to hear that, but I had two older brothers. I could walk into the room or sit by the door and listen. Unfortunately for you, and I wish you could have more, you're single, child. So I have a little more control. Just don't go and look at this.
Right.
Stay away from Rage Against the Machine. That you are not, you don't even know what you're listening to. You can like it, but you don't know. She heard me rapping to it, and I wasn't aware. I was like just in my own. And after that, she's been a little more obsessed with it. But there's sort of that where there's some great things that do rub off, and there's certain things that I put boundaries on, because you don't need to go around and have that in your head or singing it, and you really have no idea what it is you're singing.
Yeah, and there's a few other bands we can mention as well, but Rage specifically being one of the more, like, if you were actually a real fan of Rage Against the Machine, you were like, you knew about the politics involved behind what they were talking about or singing about and what they were writing, all of that. So, yeah, I mean, no, I get it for...
and even then, I listen to it as being as old 39 now, I listen to it now and go, and pick up more. Wait, I just pick up more and pick up more. And, and that's like, but I'm 39 and you're my kid. You're not listening to it.
You're barely double digits age. You don't need to...
don't worry. Let's stick to, that's fine. A couple of Nirvana songs. You can listen, Counting Crows.
Yep.
I've played for, I'm a big Counting Crows fan. The early Counting Crows. You can say what you want. I don't give a rat's ass. Yeah. I don't give two left testicles. I love that. I love their first two albums.
You know what? And there's a couple songs that I have no problem listening to by them.
And being from where I'm from, Billy Joel is a national treasure.
Sure.
And to this day, that I do play. I'm almost passing that down, from father to daughter, as mother to son. It was passed down to me with the love of Billy Joel. You cannot. I mean, he's a national treasure.
Billy Joel, Queen. If we're gonna talk about like the old hits that can be like, are still like beautiful. But see, I'm also the one that will. Oh yeah. But I'm still the one that puts on, like, Rancid, Suicidal Tendencies, a few other ones where...
Well, if they're too young to really understand, that's fine. I mean, it's not even necessarily
It's more about what they're hearing.
The hearing and repeatability, especially as they get into older. So, like, you go into middle school and start ranting it up. There's a whole thing with kids playing that fucking Fortnite. Oh, and there's videos in there. And there's this whole, like, the guns came back where, like... or...
oh, yeah.
And I've seen that done a lot. Even, like, my daughter did that once. I said, if you ever fucking do that again, I'm going to tie your hands down. I was like, these days, you don't do that. You don't do it while you're riding in a car. You don't do that at school. They're going to throw your ass out.
It's a total... It's a political change.
I would love to say don't worry about it. Like, I understand you're just like, I'll see you later. It's not a big deal, or
gun in a wink, and
it was like a Western sort of thing. Like, and that might be appropriate in some things, like a play or like that these days, like especially in a school setting. But you don't want to make jokes, and you definitely don't want to make a gun.
Yeah, well, and that's just like, I definitely don't want my kids bragging about. I mean, I personally would love them to brag about, like, I listen to Suicidal Tendencies, but. What you have to know about Suicidal Tendencies, especially nowadays, is that Mike Murr, the singer for them, is actually a very, like, no, you got to live life. You got to do, like, he gives Tony Robbins a run for his money on being, like, positive life, like, let's be a community, let's do this. That's when a bunch of us went to go see them, like, with Rancid, Pennywise, and stuff a few years ago, before the dark times. Dude, that man was... at like almost 60 years old, or in his early 60s possibly, running through the crowd in this amphitheater going like, be positive, don't do drugs, and blah, blah, blah. And your band name is Suicidal Tendencies.
Yeah. Well, so obviously the name did not live up through the time. You know what I mean? In terms of the people changed.
The name was there back in the early 80s when stuff was different and people were in a different mindset.
But you don't. You don't want your kid going to school and be like, I listen to Suicidal Tendencies, because even if the teacher knows who they are and maybe understands it in the context that you do.
It's the fact of the word being used.
And the kids were there. So there might be a kid in there and be like, I heard this, and maybe they tell their parents, and honestly...
And you don't know how it's being... it can be told totally out of context.
You don't know, exactly. You don't know how it's being conveyed. So it's just one of those things where it's like, for me, like, I try to be careful without being overbearing, and which is it's a very difficult balance where it's just like, no to this, but I'm okay with that. Like, let's stop it here, but you can go further here.
Well, and then that's where, like, I usually don't, like, necessarily say the name of the band. Like, the kids can read, but it's more so of, well, let's play this song, or, like, let's play this mix. You don't know the name of the band, but you're just... Because, again, I hope they follow in my footsteps for the type of music that I love. Grew up loving, but also I have such an eclectic collection of music as well. I mean, it's not just punk rock, it's not just metal. We have, Billy Joel, Queen, if you ever heard of She and Him, which is Zoe Deschanel. Like her and another, like, we love their stuff.
They're okay. A little offbeat for me, but I have played similar, like, style type music around.
Oh yeah, it's not that I listen to the wife is more of a fan. I'm a fan, but I mean, like, I'll be like, cool.
She is super talented, though.
Oh yeah, Zoe Deschanel is great.
Her voice is like a siren. Like, I could actually see her luring, like, ships,
the ships onto the rocks.
Shore, crashing on the shore with her voice alone. I mean, she's beautiful, but yeah, her voice alone. I could definitely see that. But these days it's really, you feel like you're in you're running into obstacles. It's almost like that. What's that show where they do that crazy ass obstacle course? And basically, they get knocked down in the water.
Warrior?
It's not Ninja Warrior. It's the other one that's more of a...
And Logan loves that one as too. He loves the Ninja Warrior shows, but he
Ninja Warrior's fucking awesome.
Oh, yeah.
The other one is kind of funny, too, but it's impossible to win. Like, they design it so that you fall off all the time.
Oh, and it, like, has the big red balls and stuff.
Yeah. I forget what it's got. I think John Cena is probably, like, a host of it. That sort of show.
What is it? I think it's Pluto TV that has a regular run of that show, like the current version of it as well.
And that's the thing, though. But that's what it's like being... I can't speak for what it was like being a parent in the 90s. I obviously wasn't.
Right.
But being a parent now is like that. That's what it feels like.
Yeah.
It feels like no matter what boundaries or borders or how well your feet are placed,
right,
you're going to fall into that water, have to get back out, and try to navigate again. And that's how it is raising kids these days. It's difficult, but we lean on the people that we can lean on, and we make it through.
And that's why we always talk and like how we, and again, and I always use our say like mine and yours physical descriptions as a good way to say like we're different, but yet we follow so much of the same path when it comes to the parenting, how we grew up, the stuff that we're into, and stuff.
Yeah,
like
we do things differently, but our core is pretty much the same, and
it's still
I think
there.
you could find that with a lot of people. I mean, there's a lot of like what works for the home is what works for the home,
right?
And as long as there's not some crazy sick, perverted, abusive shit going on in the home, or
obviously yes,
like severe abusive like alcoholism. Like if you're not going into extremes,
right?
And let's just say your general average family, what works for the home works for the home.
Right.
And as long, because whomever is within that home and that family, that's going to be their safe place.
Exactly.
No matter, even if shit's going on within the family, they can go to their room, they go here, but it's their safe place.
Right. And we're even
so do it how you feel like doing it.
And between the ages of all of our kids, I mean that's the point we're at, where it's just like, no, communication has to be there. We need to communicate what's going on, things that are wrong. For all that. So, I mean, no, again, we're there. Now, we are running short on time, but I'm not even going to try to be witty about the segue. You wanted to do this, and I agree with you. I think it'd be a fun little thing to do here, because by the time this episode releases, you'll have 1 week before Netflix drops.
You'll have the day.
Is it the day of? The same day?
No, this will drop tomorrow?
The 20th.
The 20th. Oh, yeah. Yeah, so it'll be 7 days before it's released.
Stranger Things, the new season releases.
Season 4, Part 1.
Part 1, because you know they just can't keep it a simple season at this point with this show.
Well, no.
But we wanted to talk about it because I wanted to bring... You brought it up a little bit earlier. Unfortunately, my kids were just a bit too young to really get started.
Yeah.
Originally, but they did watch part of season 3, and I've been thinking about like a good way to like... How can I go back and have them rewatch? Because the Demogorgon and stuff like that, my kids they're cool with that. You know, with that. And it's not like Stranger Things.
The younger one might have some issues.
No.
You don't think so?
He's my horror movie fiend.
Yeah, I guess you are right. Dude, he's probably he won't give a shit. At
preschool, he asked that they were doing some type of face paint, like messing around like on their face with like this, like just putting dots and stuff. He asked them to paint him like Pennywise. Knowing exactly who Pennywise is.
It's not like I haven't been to a horror con before, and I've seen like kids,
my kids have been to a horror con.
Yeah, some people are just into that. You know, it's just like horror is horror. It's a whole.
He sees Shudder up on the TV, and he's like, "Let's watch Shudder." I'm like, "There's a lot of stuff you can't see on Shudder, but we'll try to find something, I guess." I mean, my kids have they've watched Halloween. They've watched Friday the 13th Part 4.
My daughter,
all by their own volition.
My daughter wants to watch some of those things, but I know her, and I'm like, although you might be able to handle it, it's going to creep it up on you. She's like,
right.
Like I've told her, I was like, well, it might be safe enough to watch something like it, and then she'll go, no, like with that.
Oh yeah.
I could see her eyes basically said this.
Right.
Fuck clowns.
Yeah.
You know? So she was like, I'm good. But Stranger Things, that's our like sit down, like that between that and Goldberg's, that's our sit down, watch together show.
We watched we've talked about that before. We
By the way, coming back for season 10, buddy. Coming back
Goldberg's is?
Yeah, buddy.
I thought this was the final season.
So did I, but they got the double digits. Congratulations to them.
Goldbergs. Good job.
Hashtag love Goldbergs.
Goldbergs.
Making a heart with my hand. You can't even see it, people. You have no idea.
I still call Beverly Goldberg as being Jennifer in a few more years.
Oh, you think so?
Oh, yeah.
Maybe more high school. Like when they're like getting close to leaving high school and they're like detaching themselves from her.
If you think a few more years for Logan, he's 8.
Yeah, I feel like maybe 3-4 years.
Yeah, he'll be in junior high more so.
Yeah,
but
they'll be like, Mom, I don't want. Can you drop me off like before the school?
No, Schmoopy.
Yeah,
you know,
my little schmoops.
Yes.
Or schmoo.
So,
well, let's get it. So, Stranger Things season 4 will pick up in a few different places. One, Southern California, which is where the Byers family and 11 is.
Right.
And then there's Hawkins, and then there's if I'm probably saying this wrong. Who gives a shit? Kamchatka, Russia.
It's just say Russia.
It's but there's a place where Hopper is.
Right.
And a Demogorgon.
And who everybody thinks Hopper's dead. That's in the U.S.
They all think they all think Hopper's he's dead as fuck.
So by the way, spoilers if you have not seen Stranger Things season 1, 2, and 3. We're talking about it, so apologies if we've already ruined something for you.
Well, it wouldn't matter now, because if they happen to catch a trailer of Season 4 on TV or whatever the case is...
But it would ruin the end of Season 3.
Well, then get the fuck on it.
Right, get up to date.
Move fucking onward.
Right.
Get to 1, move to 3, they're quick. The first 2 seasons you can watch pretty fast.
See, that's also what I wanted to do, is like, now that the age of the boys, I kind of want to, like... I'm about due for a rewatch anyways, getting ready for season 4.
Now, they watch like anything like Goonies or something comparable.
Yeah.
Then season 1 is fine.
Yeah.
And that way you'll be able to gauge, especially towards the end of the season, like there's certain... Because it's not that it'll be something that the kid can easily transition into 2 and then 3. Now, the season 4, though, is rumored to be a lot scarier and a lot more mature because the kids have grown up. And I saw...
Well, that's been the big debate about season 4 in general, is like that because we had that such huge time gap in between the seasons and everything. The kids are like, oh, puberty.
Yeah.
and there you go.
Yeah.
So...
Well, I mean, they lost 6 months of production time. So...
Yeah, but even 6 months at this point wouldn't have made that much of a difference.
No. I mean, they'd already grown up, and that's what they made this season. So this season's going to be a lot more horror centric. I think I read that they described it, and I was telling this to Lorelai. Season 1 was more like The Goonies.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And I think in season 2 and 3, you moved up from like Goonies to other. I can't remember the other 3, and now I'm
trying to think of.
Now you're more in the Nightmare on Elm Street horror movie. You're more into the It realm.
We're gonna have a lot more monster, not just behind it, like because the first 3 seasons, the monster or the Upside Down, we're always kind of behind the scenes.
The Mind Flayer.
Yeah, we're always kind of like you never got full viewing until like essentially the last maybe 2 episodes or even the last episode.
You got a shadow viewing, but in terms of like its physical form in our reality, in the normal reality, it was obviously different. This season is going to seems to be centered around a bigger evil, or maybe like the boss of the Mind Flayer, which I didn't realize there was one. And they pull a lot of their shit from D&D, which I've played some with my daughter, the Stranger Things one, which is pretty cool. Yeah. And in this year's Vecna, in this season's Vecna, season 4 is what they call them, and it's got Robert Englund, who is my favorite all-time movie.
Absolutely,
fucking bad guy villain.
Top 3, if not top 5, depending on what we're talking about horror-wise.
I mean, he's my hands down number 1.
Oh, I mean, well, Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3 was like my first full-blown horror movie experience, technically. Yeah,
I mean, 2 is atrocious, but 1, 3, I'll even go up until Freddy's Dead. As cheesy as bad as it was, Robert Englund always played the shit out of that character, and I mean, he did it amazing. Now, Lorelai, she hasn't had any experience with that stuff. I made sure to drip feed her because she's just. Oh,
no, we
I know how she.
I
know how she's built. So I'm wondering, like, Nightmare on Elm Street may be too much, but I might be able to do like a Freddy's Dead.
Well, that's also why I did something like Halloween. And even Friday the 13th. Yeah. Because Friday the 13th, I started out actually watching the documentary. You know, that like 6 to 8 hour documentary that they did about the whole Friday the 13th run. They even talk about the TV show. Logan watched that, or at least the majority of that, with me. So not only was he getting acclimated to it, he saw behind the scenes to help trigger that whole thing of, this is make-believe, to help instill that, I'm watching something scary, but it's not real life scary. Yeah.
And the people out listening can't see it, but you can go out, check it out online. Robert Englund. Yes.
Killer Amish beard.
Oh, my God. He looks amazing. But there's the rumor could be he's Vecna. You know, like he's in 2 different forms.
Something more than what he's showing,
he damn well should be. I mean...
Oh, that would be superb.
I mean, the makeup is incredible, and we're very excited about it because it's a big daddy-daughter. Like, for me and her, it's a big, like, get-together, popcorn, and then, even Jem, she loves it too. But I'm very, very excited for it, and I have a few quick predictions, but I do want to start off with my daughter thinks that this year I'll be able to pull off 100% Hopper because he now looks like me.
Because of the shaved head and everything.
The shaved head and like the 5 o'clock shadow-ish beard that I generally keep on me. I don't keep it too long.
Yeah, unlike my scraggle. But
your shit's you've been working on it a long time.
Yeah. Like I know, I'm growing the sides back, man. That's what's killing me now.
Yeah, well, I mean, right now you've got a little more of an Amish look to you.
A little bit.
A little bit.
I mean, if I trim the goatee part, I'd definitely fall in
You're not quite Jebediah, but you're stepping on his toes.
Oh, watch out, Jeb. Watch out.
But I have 3 quick predictions. One, this is going to set off a global war. Like, maybe not in necessarily every continent, but it's going to get to a point where it could spill off to every single continent, which would be the extension of the Upside Down or Vecna or however the fuck they write it in the show.
Yeah, because what we're finding out is that there's more of these portals and or doorways.
Yeah, well, there's connection point. Yeah, there's going to be more breaking down, sort of like the multiverse situation and Doctor Strange.
Right, which don't spoil it. I haven't even seen that one yet.
Oh, no, that you can pretty much...
Well, I mean, I have an idea,
out.
But yeah.
But in this one, I think because, and they're all in different parts of the world, you know. Like,
yeah.
I think that Hopper, I think obviously he's going to, now in the trailer it shows him, looks like he's about to fight with a spear on fire, a fucking Demogorgon.
Yeah.
In a Russian prison camp, like outside of the yard.
And it seems like a normal thing that they do in this prison camp as well.
Now, if anybody would be like a warrior like that, especially after working out in the fucking railroads, it's going to be Hopper. So, I mean, I think eventually he'll connect up and everything will lead and everybody will get back to Hawkins. I think.
Oh, I'm sure.
The full group will get back to Hawkins.
Yeah.
But I think they're going to set up. I think they're going to basically. It feels like they're going to set up for something like an army to fight against whatever is coming. Because in the show, Paul Reiser says like, "Listen, if we don't have you, we're going to lose this war." So they're going to delve more into the background. So I mean, that's. One of the predictions is that Hopper is basically going to become sort of almost a general style in that war. Like he's going to basically lead them, and then 11 she'll be the nuke, as she's always been. Well, but it'll come at a price.
Well, that's also going to question with the trailer where she apparently is unable to use her power.
Yeah, well, in that last season, she had that piece of the mind flayer, basically drain her of it.
Yeah,
whatever she had left to get it out of her. Pretty much drained her of it.
Yep.
So yeah, she's out of it right now, but there might be a way for her to get it back.
Well, I think
they could put her through the same process.
Because I love the show, but again, you've done more of a mind dive into the show as well than I have. But my whole thing is because I think that's where they're going to bring in more history about this facility of where 11 is from.
Oh, absolutely.
But that they've got to give way more background into this for this big baddie that's expected, and
I don't even think they're just going to get background. I think they're going to bring her back there to trigger her powers again.
Oh, very, very. That's a very, again, if you know Stranger Things, that's a very 80s thing to do as well.
That's 100%, yeah.
Go
back to where it started, baby.
Go to the origins.
Yeah, go to the source.
And exactly.
Yeah, because I mean, the latent power is probably there. It's just got to be unlocked somehow, right? So fear, anger, the general too.
Yeah.
So they're basically going to do that, and I think that one of them, and my last prediction is that one of them is going to die, probably Max.
Ooh.
Which I don't think any of them should. I think they're all fantastic. And that's one of the main characters.
Oh, of course, yeah.
I think that I definitely think one of the parents are going to die. Probably one of Mike's. Probably his dad.
Probably, but if we're talking about tropes with these predictions, that's very plausible.
So I could definitely see that being the case.
Yeah.
But you can't get. I mean, you don't want to get rid of like the main crew.
But that also sparks on: will this happen all in part one, or is it part one just going to be the build up for everything like that to happen in part two?
Each episode's longer than an hour. They've got part.
Oh, are they really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
They're like mini movies, are basically movies each episode, and then you've got part two, and then there's going to be a final finale of season 5. Then they are done.
I was about to say I knew they were only going to go so far. Yeah. But yeah.
Although I think
you think season 5 is going to be more like a movie, or are they actually going to do a full season of 5?
Honestly, there's such little information, and not seeing the 4th season, I couldn't tell you for sure. But I would love to see like a movie that was centered, have it like lead up to a big 2-hour style movie, which is like your big finale.
Firefly Serenity style something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Follow you could probably follow that style, or you could follow that formula, but with the Stranger Things, formula. See if you can work out a hybrid.
The two main series that have done that, even though they brought back Twin Peaks, but Twin Peaks did it as well. They did the Fire Walk with Me.
Oh yeah, okay.
Movie, which was supposed to be a good
I know what you're talking about. I've not seen it, so
go back. You've watched the first 2 seasons of Twin Peaks and then watch the movie type thing, and then of course, like we talked about, you have Serenity to Firefly, which is, unfortunately, there was only one season of Serenity.
Well, you had X-Files. I mean, you had X-Files and the
X-Files did a movie.
The X-Files movie.
But that was just an add-on because they weren't able to do a season. So they made a movie to...
No, that's, I Want to Believe, was the sequel, was the second one. The first movie...
Oh, shit, that's right.
The first movie they did was fucking phenomenal. I watched it not long ago.
That was the big circle back to the whole alien, like why his sister was abducted, and that's right.
I mean, it all connected in that, but...
Yeah.
By the way,
I forgot about that.
Nerd alert, son. If you haven't gone out, if you haven't seen that movie, or if you're not a big X-Files fan, become one. Watch that movie.
For sure.
The first one. The second one, not that good.
The second one, I think, was a touch of a money grab, and people... That was the one that was looking for closure. I think before it sparked a popularity for season 11, which I still liked, but it definitely didn't have the same vibe as the original run of the series.
No, the series was dying off. Was well died off.
Yeah.
But it was just it was just the X-Files movie, 1998, and it was fucking phenomenal.
Oh man, so long ago.
Well, they waited a while because the X-Files, I Want to Believe, were in 2008, and that was probably the substitute for the season. That wasn't very good.
No.
But we totally switched gears.
We did.
You know what? And it might be time to roll out.
It definitely is. We've even gone a little bit longer than we normally do.
Oh shit!
Yeah, which is fine. But we talk. That's what we do as parents. That's what we do for this show.
Can I end this off with a question? Question to you, and you can question me.
Sure.
Assuming they're at the right age, whatever age you've deemed so for it to be.
Right.
What's the first Kevin Smith movie you're showing your kids?
Oh, I'm going to start OG with Clerks.
You're going straight to Clerks?
Going straight to Clerks.
Oh, nice.
I am one of those where if I could have showed my children the Star Wars movies in the order that I watched them in, meaning the original trilogy, 4, 5, and 6, prequels, then the new sequels, and blah, 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 I would have preferred that.
Mm-hmm. This is assuming they're at a point where you're like, all right, you're old enough to like watch this and get, maybe not get it but you're old enough to absorb it.
Right. And that's, and as much as I would say, here's Clerks. And even though if they sit there and just, as much as I want them to get it, because that's the whole thing. I want them to, it will never be the same, but it's the connection that they have with someone like Kevin, the filmmaker, and seeing the work that he does and how it progresses.
Yeah.
That's the connection I want. Now, if we need to, sure, we can start with Jersey Girl,
Well, that's an age thing. Now, if I were to sit down with my kid now and watch a Kevin Smith movie, it would be Jersey Girl, which, by the way, totally given shit for no reason. I love that movie.
I fucking love Jersey. To this day, I will still brag about I have that Kevin Smith signed poster of Jersey Girl up in our living room.
I mean, it gets a bad rap for I don't know why. But...
Well, you had the... And I'll say in general, it was the fanboys were upset because it wasn't a Jay and Silent Bob movie, essentially. Which is why he went back and did Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back and all that stuff.
But assuming my kid grows up to be, assuming my kid... Let's say, whatever age of demon, especially for her, I would probably like, I could see it like, it probably for us, like 18 for us to sit down and watch like his other movies.
Right.
And I would say if I would start her off, knowing her, I would probably start her off with Mallrats first. And I'll tell you why.
That's not a bad one.
I'll tell you why. Because you could not see Clerks first and see Mallrats first, and it almost is like a little more watered down humor in the sense of like where you got from Clerks. Clerks was like that dialogue. The dialogue was on fire on both, but Clerks was a different monster altogether.
Right, and that's what I'm also thinking about as the boys are older. I didn't think like current age or in the next few years.
No, and nor you should. This was only at a time that you've gone, okay, you're old enough.
Right. That's why I'm saying like say. If they're both in a because they're only a few years apart, a close enough teenage range to even do Clerks, something like that. And like, say if I had to tomorrow go home and show them a Kevin Smith movie, by all means, if it was tomorrow, it'd definitely be Jersey Girl.
150%.
So it's
like I said, at least until you're 18. Once you're about to graduate, you've graduated high school, we could sit down and watch, Mallrats. Then I would probably do Clerks. But the one that I feel like was the best directed, and I've said this before, will be Chasing Amy.
Oh,
in terms of direction
to me,
and
that
script,
one it definitely needs to be. That one is definitely a later movie, like for age wise.
Oh God, no! I don't even know. First off, I don't think I could sit down next to my daughter and watch that, anyways. Like, there's no way I could sit there and go. That would not be one I would. I would be like, you should. If you want to watch it, you can check us out on your own. You're an adult, good. But
oh, come on!
But I would. But as an adult, I would probably start with my wife, just because
No, fair enough. But no, I feel that because it's just like the reason why so many nerds our age, like why we love the Avengers so much, like why Endgame was so impactful, to lead up to Endgame, things like that, was because that was what we were waiting for a whole life.
Huh.
And again, I know my boys won't have this. If they become huge Kevin Smith fans, and they obviously, like the way age works, if they love the newer stuff more than the older stuff, that happens. I get it.
Yeah.
But I want them to know hey, this is where it started. Follow one of those little things I'm always about is love the music you're going to love the movies, love the comics, but know your history of what you're in love with.
Yeah. Don't just go with the flow because other people did, and then talk and go, "Oh man, this is the greatest," and then you go, "Well." Someone goes, "Why?" And you go, "I mean, because it is." Like, I mean, if you're such a fan, give me some knowledge. Like,
right?
And listen, that's kind of pretentious to be like, you can love something and not know a bunch about it, but yeah, but if you're going to be that enthusiastic about something, chances are you should know something about it.
Right. Be a fan of the band Rancid. But know that stemmed off from Operation Ivy, even though you don't have to love Operation Ivy.
It's funny.
For real. Like, I mean...
And I've never been a big punk guy. But you will never hear me talk about how much I know about any punk whatsoever. Like, I will never... I'll be like, listen, you tell me things, I learned.
Exactly.
Like, I'm willing to learn it, but...
I know. You have no idea what I was just saying about... You know Rancid because they're a big enough name.
Well, I know some about them. I mean, I grew up, like I said, I had two older brothers who went to them.
But they stemmed from a band called Operation Ivy. Again, you don't have to like Operation Ivy, even if you're in love with Rancid. Just know where the roots of that band came from and understand where it comes from.
Right. Yeah.
That's all you got.
Unless you're really new to the game. But if you're new to the game, don't walk around like you've been around for a while.
No, absolutely. Don't. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Don't.
That's important skill to teach your kids, too. Like... Don't walk around acting like you are something that you're not. Because everybody will see through it eventually.
Exactly.
And on that note...
A good time to wrap this up, guys. So, I know we've gone way far over, guys, but we appreciate you sticking around if you've made it this far into the episode. We won't go heavy. We had it all at the beginning of the episode. Just a quick reminder, GUIPodcast.com. Check out all the episodes that we do here for the Geekfathers. Of course, all of our other great shows as part of the network. TeePublic, Amazon.com, all that great stuff is there waiting for you to click on it. Guys, hopefully you enjoyed everything. Don't forget to look for I don't want to call it a design contest, but we just want design ideas from you guys, the listeners. Put in your submissions. No guarantees that it'll be used, but we'll definitely take a look at everything. And I think all the showrunners, I'm sure, will get a look at least what's submitted, and we'll figure out the best way to vote it in or whatever we're going to do.
We're all going to judge your shit.
And we're going to judge you hard. Real hard.
Yeah.
But I think what we're going to do, if your design is picked, though, at the very least, what you'll do is get a free shirt with that design on it, and we're figuring out some fun prizes to do with some other stuff as well, guys. So keep an eye out, guys. We've got a lot more fun stuff coming. We have a couple of special guests that will be on the Geekfathers. I'm going to say soon. We're just still working out the schedule for everything, but we'll drop some more details as we get closer.
Two older fucks like us who are parents, the logistics can be difficult.
Exactly.
Even for ourselves.
And the majority of our guests and friends that come on here are parents as well.
Yes.
So a lot of logistics go into it, guys. So just remember, watch out for each other. We're one community, one tribe, guys. Just don't forget, join us.
Or cry.
Mike the Hobbit here,
Lowdown Brown,
inviting you to check out Geeks Under the Influence, a podcast that pairs booze with conversation with good friends.
and a little nerd culture.
We get a lot of colorful conversation out of our episodes, but it is here for everyone, no gatekeeping.
Always level up everything we do.
We'll punch up, never punch down.
Exactly.
So check out Geeks Under the Influence everywhere you get your podcasts and join us or die.
Shut the fuck up, Hobbit. Welcome to GUI Nights.
GUI Nights.
Yeah, I am Lowdown Brown. With me, as always,
Mike the Hobbit.
this is the tangential side of GUI.
This is like so many of those other shows that has the after the show bit mixed with a little bit of Baywatch night, so it's a little sexier. It's a little bit after hours.
Also, while tying it into the previous episode of GUI. So look forward to that, too, because this comes out the week after the flagship hour-long episode.
So make sure to check out GUI Nights, and when you're done, you can
Go the fuck home.
GUIPodcast.com.